Hey guys, welcome to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys are also tuning in on Twitter or X. Super special guest in the house today, former Texas Longhorn, Mr. Tope Imade. Tope, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. We've kind of talked about it the last few times on the channel. Texas football, we're 5-0. Everything's a little bit better in life right now just because of the way the Horns look. I know that's probably not the way it should be. But yeah, to answer your question, doing great, brother. So thanks for asking. Definitely an honor to have Tope here on the channel, former Texas offensive lineman. And so we're gonna go way back in time. Not way back. I make myself feel really old when I say that. Just back to a little about a decade ago. Tope, talk to us about your recruitment. Committed obviously Charlie Strong, I believe. Was Coach Wickline your primary back in the day?
He was. Then he got fired. Then it was Maddox.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good prelude into some of Tope's time at Texas. We'll have a lot to talk about in there. But talk about your recruitment coming out of Arlington Bowie. What made you choose Texas? Was it always Texas, or maybe last second choice?
So a little bit about me is that I really didn't get into college football till late high school. I would watch championship games, but never found an interest, even though I played. I never found an interest in NFL football. So I was playing high school football just for fun up until my sophomore year and up until my junior year. And then ended up getting offers for some reason. And I was pancaking guys, just having fun out there. And then I just started taking it a little bit more seriously. My teammate, Madison Akamnanu, he was a right tackle. I was right guard. He went to Tech. I went to Texas, obviously. The left tackle went to Kansas, Clyde McCulley, and we had a bunch of D3 guys in between us. But the way the recruitment process went was I did this like deadlifting video, and like I broke our school record. I had bad form though, so people were like kind of like talking a lot of ish in the comments. And coaches still saw that. They saw potential. They saw my film. I was not technically sound, and that's kind of what college is about. Like for offensive linemen, they offer you based off potential. Like I was big. I was 320. I could move. I could get on the screens and stuff like that. Pancake guys, get up to the second level. Just generic offensive lineman stuff. And they offered me. Wickline offered me, but the thing is, with Wickline, I can say this now because I don't know what the hell he's doing now. But like nobody liked Wickline, not the offensive lineman in the program, not the recruits he was recruiting. So he missed out on a bunch of 4- and 5-star guys. So of course, like you got to start going on the list. Like, okay, what's a local DFW 3-star talent that's like I could mold into something. Like I think he did something with Emmanuel Ogba, and he was a 3-star guy. So offered me. Came into an in-home visit, obviously mentioned Emmanuel Ogba, and just comparisons here and there. But really the only comparisons that were like Nigerian, right? Like there was no So, and then we were 3-star guys. And somewhere along the line, Coach Wickline got fired. Celebration. Everybody was and Coach Maddox was hired. And the thing with Coach Maddox was that his mother-in-law was an English teacher at my high school. So we would just every time I'd walk by her classroom, Coach Maddox would text her like, "Hey, take a picture of Tope. I want to see how big he is." And this is before we met, so he can get like a good size comparison,
Yeah.
And Maddox was hired. Then we brought on, it's like once Wickline was fired, Maddox was hired. It was like the floodgates opened up. I committed, then Denzel, then Shaq. And if you remember, Jane committed after the whole OU video, that guy and the bus, whatever. Jane decommitted from OU and then committed to Texas after or I think during the halftime of the Under Armour All-American game. So we all had our official visits together. Shaq committed while we were out having fun. He put on the text, like, "I'm coming here, guys. I'm coming here." He spent that whole night doing his applications and stuff like that. So it was a pretty good deal. But the recruitment process was pretty chill. I've always wanted to go to Texas. I was an A&M fan for a bit just because of like the Manziel hype.
Yeah.
Like I feel like any other person would be. I mean, I didn't really know much about college football, and I think Texas was doing pretty bad at the time. So A&M fan, but as I got older, I was like, damn, I really want to go to Austin. It's the heart of Texas, the capital of Texas. It's where it's like where dreams, where people go to like be dreamers and make a name for themselves. It was like Hollywood or New York, whatever it may be. And I just thought like, if I go to Austin, if football doesn't work out, I'm still in a great place, which obviously is happening now.
Yeah.
And I'm still at a great program with a great degree. In my case, plural. So I couldn't have changed my journey for anything else. And just happy to be here. Happy to stay in Austin too. So.
No, absolutely, man. And it was always fun to keep up with you. I kept up, obviously, a lot of us have kept up with you on Twitter. I love that you stay around the program, interested in the program. It's cool to see, because not that, Drew Kelson said it on the show a couple of weeks ago. He was like, I'm like you now. I'm a fan. And it's like, it doesn't feel like that because y'all know more ball than us and you have the experience and you know the ins and outs. But yeah, it's like you don't have to be around the program. You don't have to keep up with it. But so for those that you do, it's fun to see, cool to see. Shout out Nash, Texas being in the comments right here, brother. Not a surprise to hear Tope doing a making a kind gesture. Not a surprise at all. But let's talk about now when you got to Texas, Tope. 1 year of Charlie Strong, Mike Maddox, the veer and shoot. How did your year one for you, Charlie's last year, go in 2016 as far as being a part of the program?
I
know it got kind of dark there
I'm just saying it was fun, man. Like, I mean, and too much fun is a bad thing, obviously. And I got there in the summer. Like, we would have all the students weren't there. Like, it was just athletes in Sanjak, and we would have BB gun wars, and that turned into a whole shit show there. And just crazy. Everybody's buying airsoft guns just to like shoot at each other. It was like crazy. It's like all the freshmen and some guys joined in. And when it came to football, it was just like downhill, and you could just tell during the season, like none of it was going to work out. And respect to Coach Strong. He recruited me. He offered me. And I hope he's doing well. But obviously, like, and I mentioned this before, like on Twitter or whatever, like with Coach Strong, guys just broke the rules a lot. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And the main thing that I can touch on personally is like the older guys missing class and intentionally skipping class. There's like, even though there was like a class checker, you know what I'm saying? And I would do what the older guys did because I didn't know any better. I mean, right. I was pretty sheltered as a kid. So I'm in college. I'm like, oh my God, like everything's going on. And like girls, it is, skipping class, I'm just excited. And I'm just doing what the other guys are doing. And obviously things, whatever, I'm a big believer in whatever you do outside of football kind of reflects how you are in football. And that was just like represented or reflected in our season. So freshman year was great in terms of fun. Like, you're a freshman, you're freaking 18, you just turned 19, you're enjoying the college life, but the football was just not it. And it was just kind of, and Coach Strong was a pretty laid back guy. Rarely yelled. But it was no culture on that team. And it was evident once Herman came in.
Well, real quick, like how I'm careful with my words here, but how high did the team get after that Notre Dame win? It was
that was the first time.
Self-belief. Like, did y'all think that could really turn into something special, or did you still kind of see the cracks in the ceiling?
I didn't see any cracks because that was my first college game. I was as high as the moon. I had my friends come in. Like, I didn't see anything. Like, I'm thinking, even though based off of that game, it made me believe that like we can have as much fun as we want outside of football and still get it done on Saturdays. But then obviously we saw the decline throughout the season. The one spark or the one positive in that season was Deontay Foreman and Mike Dixon, but I don't think he won the award yet. He won it the following year. But I didn't after that first game, the whole the infamous Texas is back call. Like everybody thought, that we turned things around finally, but Notre Dame ended up being crappy that year, and just again things went downhill. So, we kind of thought after that game we've arrived, and I think we lost to Cal the next week.
Yeah,
or just whatever. Yeah, or just maybe 2 weeks later. I don't know. Yeah, it was just been a whole crap, shit show. So, yeah.
That was kind of me too as a fan. You know, obviously the Tyrone Swoops double overtime win, you know, it did a lot for a lot of people as far as excitement and getting hopes back up. And then,
Yeah.
the Cal game was very depressing because, hey, you weren't on defense, so I can say it. We couldn't have stopped anybody that night. Giving up 50 to that Cal team hurt a lot, especially knowing that your head coach is a defensive guy. And so, definitely a roller coaster of the year. But talk about the transition from Charlie Strong to Thomas Herman. What were some of the? Obviously, we all know there were some big time differences there. You mentioned that it being pretty evident as soon as Tom got there. What were those big time evident changes?
Yeah, I think the first Strong got fired. Our first meeting with Herman, it was just no BS. He's like, everybody, like, put your phones up. Give me, like, if you have your phone, put it in this box.
No BB gun wars.
No BB gun. Oh no, that was the last of it. That was the last of BB gun wars. And everybody's like, put your phones in here. Somebody's phone went off. Like, who are you? Like, it's the whole shit show, that meeting. I got called out because what's up?
I just said,
Yeah, I got called out because we broke into position groups, like to introduce ourselves to the coach, and him introduce himself to the O-line or their own respective position groups. And like, again, I told you I had fun and stuff like that in college. And I had like a sub 2.0 my first semester. And then like Werheim called me out, like, how do you have a sub 2.0 and like O-line is the smartest group on the team and stuff like that. And keep in mind, like, I'm not like stupid. I just did not. I'm enjoying my first year of college.
Right,
I myself. And one thing I do credit Herman for is holding me accountable academically, and he wrote my grad school letter, like, for me to get into grad school to Macomb. So that ended up working out. But it was pretty evident, man. We have this thing called I'm sure y'all read about it, heard about it, whatever it may be. Off season, it was called tour of duty, and whenever you would loaf, like not finish the drill, we counted that as a loaf. So our first off season with Coach Herman, we had about maybe above 200 loafs. So we had 200 loaves, and to pay that back, each loaf was an up down. So we did about 50 up downs after tour of duty. And then, like, again, we all have class and stuff like that. So the way we paid that back is that we would do 30 up downs before each workout with McKnight. And and then we'll do the up downs, then do the warm up, and then get into the workout. So we're like dead by the end of the workout. So it was pretty tough. And I think it was like, that's what initially rubbed people the wrong way with Coach Herman, even though I do like him. He's a great guy. He helped me out a lot personally. He helped me out a lot personally. But that offseason, just because it was just such a flip of the switch from chill and relax to, military style, like, be here at this time. Like, nobody's held those seniors or just anybody in that program at that time accountable. So
that's natural. You're going to have friction anytime there's that big of a culture change overnight, and especially when you're talking about those upperclassmen that have been part of the program for multiple years. I mean, I think, we all heard about everything. I hate it. I've talked about it once on the channel as well, not to get too gross with you, but like, I can't pee without thinking about Tom Herman, and that's really weird. That's really strange, right?
When I tell you, man, we were finding out ways to get past those hydration tests. Like, we would pee, be yellow. We'd grab another bottle of water and like pour it in our cup, or we'd walk in with a mouthful of water and then like just spit it in the cup. And then our nutritionist started getting smart. It was like, how come this pee is cold? And he would just like kind of find out. So we'd have they would assign a weight room intern to watch us pee, so we wouldn't cheat on it. So because the punishment then was like log rolls after practice, all those other morning. I forgot what they call it, like night shift or morning shift, whatever it was. Some guys would help the custodian clean in the mornings, which was, you would say it's punishment, but that's his job, so you got to respect it. You can't really talk shit about that. You know what I'm saying? So At least we're doing good. We're learning we're getting punished, but in the right ways. You know what I'm saying? So like, the custodian gets up early to do that stuff for a living, and like, we're taking advantage of our privilege of being college football players. So it's kind of a humbling punishment. So kind of gone off on a tangent. But that offseason was crazy. The P tests were crazy. We finally got with Coach Strong, a lot of guys were underweight and overweight, and with Herman, he made sure we had people checking in. We had nutritionists, and we had guys on weight gain, weight loss, maintain, and McKnight introduced DEXA scans for like BMIs and how to manage all that. So they brought a pretty NFL like style militant approach to college football, and the kind of fun was out of it. The first time we kind of had fun with Herman was when he was doing that dance versus Missouri, and okay, like all right, he's a little loose now. Like it's our first championship with him, even though it was the Texas Bowl, but it was still pretty cool.
I definitely, as a fan, you could see that was the first time where he kind of let loose, and then players really reacted to him in like a playful manner. And so I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about Thomas doing that, but I'm sure for the players, you're like, hell yeah, because y'all just sit there and watch Missouri guys. From everything I've heard and read, y'all had to watch Missouri, talk a little bit of shit and
the entire bowl week, just talking. Yeah. So
that SEC badge on the jersey, it comes with a little bit of yapping, especially for those teams like Missouri, who now they're good, but back then, I mean, like they were 6-6 going into that game,
probably,
because they got hot at the end of the year and won like 5 straight. And so I'm not knocking Missouri's team then, but back then it was just kind of shocking that you choose to talk a lot of mess. I heard that one was worse than maybe any other week of bowl banter, we'll say, but.
That was the worst one. Yeah, other than moving forward, it wasn't really much talking. But I will say this: we played. Ryan Wingo's brother was on that team. His older brother was on that team.
Okay, I did not even realize that. Wow.
Yeah.
I did like that when they're down, several scores there in the second half, and Locke starts the second half out with that. It was a laser beam. I mean, it was a dart. That long touchdown. He still did the backpack silly, and I was like. All right, man. At least like get down one score, maybe get close to being tied up a little bit. But
you're down 3 scores, man. What are you celebrating? Just lock in. So, but eventually they never did. So we won that game.
And so it was nice to win a bowl game again. It had been a little while since Texas won a bowl game. Definitely got a little bit of hope and momentum for the 2017 season. Obviously, that's when Sam came around, and obviously Shane was still there. We kind of went back and forth. Tough year. I mean, like you could see that the building was happening, in my opinion, and then in 2018, it kind of looks like things were really kind of coming together after the Maryland game. What was up with Maryland, man? Like you're sitting there watching it. Was it just something like those guys played over their heads both times? Obviously, we kind of had bad starts in both games. So what were your thoughts on those games?
Maryland 2017 or 2018?
I can't talk about 2017, bro. That hurt too much.
2017, people were throwing stuff all over us from the stands.
Bro,
man.
I drove. So this is oddly enough, I was living in College Station at the time, and so we had season tickets. I know that I can only watch the first half, and then I had to go back to College Station for a wedding. So naturally, you wouldn't drive to Austin just for. But hey, I damn sure did. Drove to Austin.
A wedding during college football season.
Literally one of my best friends in the world, or I wouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? Like top 5 best friend in the world. But so we go over there. I watched the first half. Obviously, you know how it played out. I have to leave. I'm walking down because I have a section, the north end zone, upper deck was where my seats were back then. And so I'm like walking down, the stairs and whatnot, or the ramps, and I'm just like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah.
Sunburnt to hell because it was an early kickoff, and then I got to go drive. And so I'm watching like Reggie Hemphill run back that kick on my iPhone, driving those country roads. I just couldn't believe that one, man. I heard a lot. But yeah, so 2018, we'll talk about that one because, I mean, for the team that we had in 2018, it doesn't feel like we should have got by Maryland.
Yeah. The way we finished the season, we definitely should have got by. But 2018, I think we lost Maryland in 2018. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I would say it was hot and humid. Remember, there was like a rain delay or a weather delay. It was hot and humid. B. Jones running punts back or kickoff returns back. He gets tackled. He's sliding another 15 yards through the water. Like that's how soaked it was, man. It was terrible. And I don't know. I can barely remember that game. I remember traveling to it.
They just got up early.
It was
Juwan Jennings or Juwan Johnson. I can't remember who it was, but he kind of ate us up a little bit. Nash, I hope you're only going to be able to watch one half of this game that game's going to mean something, Nash. Kentucky looks good. You have to find a way out of that wedding, brother. You have to find a way. But I don't mean to bring up bad memories. It was just a crazy one to watch. I was coaching at that point, and so we're Saturday film watching and whatnot. I'm just getting the notifications on my phone because coach doesn't allow me to watch it. And I'm just like, 14-0 or like 17-3, or I don't know what it was. So they got up early and kind of held on in that one. So you guys beat Kyler Murray, Oklahoma, a good Oklahoma team. Obviously, they get a little revenge in the Big 12 championship game. But talk about going into 2019. What were the expectations around the program? Because as a fan, we thought the ceiling was the limit, to be honest.
I mean, Sam set those expectations after the Super Bowl. Like, he just said, like, we're back. And we're just like, why would you say that?
True.
Like, especially when, like, I was, like, kind of iffy with that because, you had LJ was gone, Gary Johnson gone, Anthony Wheeler gone, PJ Locke gone, Andrew Beck gone. Like, everybody's leaving this defense. Chris Boyd gone, Devontae Davis gone. Like,
yep.
Vahe. Like, there's so many people leaving. Like, I don't, it was just, I didn't have any expectations because then, like, we didn't really use the portal like that. I think Coach Hand brought in Mikey Grandy January of 2020, January of 2029, like 2 or 3 weeks after we won. But we weren't using the portal like that. And it just wasn't. Going into that season, that following season, I just had low expectations. It was like nobody's going to beat. We had Devin Duvernay, like Devin was still on the team, but like we just didn't have the weapons we had, the year before. And so 2019 was just like a meh. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we go to the Alamo Bowl and we ended up going back there again. So
I like a realist, man. I really do. You talk about losing Lil Jordan. That's a guy who was a matchup. Nightmare at the college level, man. You could do a lot of things with him.
We wanted him to stay so bad, man.
Yeah, that would have been huge for that offense.
Yeah. Colin came back, but damn, it's.
And then obviously had running back issues, health issues there. I guess Keontae was still there, right? Yeah, because he had the drop versus LSU there. I forgot about that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a bad one.
That was tough, man. I'll be honest though, I was pretty ecstatic after that game, just knowing that we hung with that LSU team because just watching Burrow make some of those throws and so obviously well timed and into some pretty good coverage at times. I was like, that team is going to smoke a lot of people, and that's what I told every single LSU fan walking out of there. I was like, you're going to be in New Orleans at the end of the year. I just hope we are because they were incredible, and so. I was pretty saddened by the effort we put forward in the Red River. At least, we just Alex Grinch and that I think that was the first year of Grinch being there, right? And that's when they sacked Sam. Like,
I just remember Joe Brady, and
I was talking about Oklahoma and the Oklahoma game. That's what I'm saying. LSU got my hopes up, and then for OU week, we just kind of laid an egg in that first half on offense.
Yeah.
I think they had 7 or 8 sacks in that game, and so after that one, I think that's when I was kind of like, all right, it's probably Alamo Bowl time. We can start making San Antonio plans, but
you kind of make that decision like before or after OU week, kind of after, and you're like, yeah, I know what kind of season this is going to be. So
yeah, but overall, man, I mean, I love that Tom Herman helped you a lot. Tom Herman did a lot of good things for the culture at Texas. I know that there's a lot of differing opinions about the end of his time at Texas. Obviously we know what we have now, but did you think that maybe it was unfair towards Tom at the end of his tenure when, it was kind of left with so much uncertainty there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how, what was going through CDC's head and how, I remember, even after our Alamo, we played Colorado and Herman's driving off in the back of a golf cart. He's like, all right, see you in the offseason. Like, all right, see you, coach. And next thing I know, like 3 or 4 days later, Tom Herman has been fired. Steve Sarkisian is the new head coach at the University of Texas. And it was just weird, man. And I had no idea. And I think there was like a bunch of pushback from donors after what all happened that year with the, 2020 was just freaking crazy for everybody. So
yeah, man,
it's crazy to see. Like that was I think in 2 months, it'll be 4 years since he was fired. And it's just been crazy, man. I didn't know what went into his firing, but I'm sure that had, that played a role.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's a lot of optics going on. And I at that time, I kind of, I feel like if he hadn't taken that next step, obviously we'd beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, but we beat a Georgia team that might have been a little down after losing Alabama to ruin their perfect season. I still, you still have to go win that game against a really good Georgia team. But For me, it was kind of, like whatever happens, happens. I know I don't know everything, and obviously you players know a lot more than I do. And so when Sark was hired, what's your first initial reaction? I know that there were some Texas fans, man, that like, what the hell are we doing here?
I know they were salty, but honestly, I didn't even know the guy. I didn't even know him. Didn't know where he came from until I looked. I saw he won the Burroughs Award at Alabama. So I was like, all right, that's a good sign. Coach Devontae Smith, Coach Mac Jones. Mac Jones from a 3-star to the Davey O'Brien award winner. So yeah, I mean, he has a resume. He built a resume. I saw stuff about his past, which I don't care about. Everybody has a past, whatever. But the way he's able to bounce back under Saban, I'm like, all right, this guy's respectable. So I didn't have too much of an opinion on the hire. Just like, okay, here's head coach number 3. Hopefully he wants to keep me another 6th year. But they ended up doing that, and yeah, that's kind of how that first month went. Is like, or first week or so after the Alamo Bowl went. Just me not knowing who he was, him meeting with every individual player, going in. I actually missed spring ball because my mom passed, and then I had to come back in May. They moved me to guard. I was at tackle at the time. Coach Hand moved me at tackle at the end of 2020, and then Flood moved me back to guard, and then yeah, it was just a whole shit show.
But I did not realize that about your mother, Tope. Definitely my condolences on that. I know it's been some time, but still, man, I know that couldn't have been easy, especially right there, going into your 6th year and learning a new coaching staff and everything. So what was Coach Sark like? What were your first impressions upon meeting him? And everyone, you talk about his story and having a past. It seems he's beyond taking accountability for everything. And so was that something that he addressed with you guys early upon meeting you guys, or just something that, maybe was talked about later?
I think I may have a different experience because I missed like 2.5 months. I really didn't get to know Sark till maybe fall camp, because summer workout is really primarily for the strength and conditioning coach. That's his team at that point.
Right.
And so fall camp is kind of when I got to know a little bit more about Coach Sark. He obviously opened up because, again, we're in the facility for 13, 14 hours. We take a nap. We take a nap in in the locker room, take a nap in the fucking, our director of player development's office, like wherever you can. So like, we're just in the facility 24/7, and coaches are there walking around, learning about plays, helping guys with plays. And I got to learn Sark a little bit more. We had team meetings. He'd like, yeah, y'all know about my past. I mentioned it in spring, but it was my first time hearing it. And he would talk about what happened at USC and all the other stuff. And, and then he kind of vaguely mentioned it, but I did my own research and like, okay, oh, this is what happened. So, yeah, but for him to kind of like turn that around and be where he's at right now, it's commendable. So, yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you're talking about the world of recruiting and all the negative recruiting that goes on out there. I mean, like, I can't imagine how often Sark is having to take accountability for that. And like you said, everybody has a past. It's not just you or I. It's not just Sark. Everybody out there has one. And so, yeah, of course, don't hold that against a man, because he's shown fully in a short amount of time that he's making big time changes in his life to, flip things around. And obviously in Austin, we're all big fans of him now.
Yeah,
I was screaming after the 2021 season, the 5-7 season, and actually kind of what started to get my account a little bit of growth was just like, I don't care. I love Sark. Yeah, we went 5-7. Yes, we lost to Kansas, but you can't see the way that he's scheming points, and no disrespect to the team that we had, but obviously talent wise, it looks a lot different now as far as the skill positions and stuff. Massive difference. And so he was racking up some points. Now, obviously, we blew a lot of leads in that second half. We fizzled out some, installed, but quarterback situation, with the multiple Casey Thompson injury, we're shuffling quarterbacks. The blown lead to Oklahoma, I get all of that. Like, none of that was fun, but I still thought that, if you looked hard enough, you could see a lot of positives on what he was doing with his side of the ball. And then PK is traditionally, he's gotten better at each stop as he gets there, teaches his scheme and his system. And so after the 21 season, what were your thoughts, man? Did you think Texas could be right here, right now in such a short time, or do you think it might, take another 5-10 years?
I mean, I thought I didn't know how long it would take, but I was just like, yeah, Sark's the guy. Coach Flood is the guy. Coach Flood is going to build a great offensive line for the skilled guys to utilize. Coach Sark is going to build this team to be a national championship contender. And I just saw the way, after coming back, I was like, wow, this is like he's generally a mix of Herman and Coach Strong. Like you got the cool, calm, collected part of Coach Strong, but then like the same like attack, militant mindset of Herman. But then it's like you mix those together, and then he's still like a player's coach, and that's like the perfect. That's why I wish, like, I know things fall in line in a certain way, but I wish like my freshman year I had Sark and Flood, because maybe the players that didn't, who had aspirations going to the league, who had aspirations of playing pro, could have done that with them because of the way they develop people. And it sucks things happen when how it did, but it's kind of good to see now. But I always knew. I sound like LeBron James. I always knew, but I had a great feeling that Sark and Flood, and I can only speak to those guys because I've interacted with those guys, are great coaches, and they can bring a championship here to Texas, and they did that 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty crazy to 5-7, 8-4, 12-2, massive leaps, man. And so you can see that each team, 2022, we closed out a few more games, held on a few leads. Games played out the same way they did in 2021. We just held on late, maybe even gave up a little bit of a comeback, found a way. 2022 team, a few of the same games played out the same way, held on to those games. Obviously, Oklahoma, Washington just turned the ball over too many times on those. What are your honest expectations for 2024? Obviously, we played 5 ball games, still have our biggest test coming up here in the next couple of weeks. What are your thoughts and expectations?
I'm not going to say specifically, but I hope to be in Atlanta in December, and I hope to be in Atlanta again in January. So
you believe they're capable? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to say it, like speak it out, and I just jinx it, right?
Yeah.
But we're on the right track, and like from what I'm seeing so far, I still feel like Sark is playing a little bit reserved because, like, again, I think this is our toughest slate coming up within the next couple of weeks, even though it's like Oklahoma, Georgia, Vanderbilt. But I think we have it's like 5 games, 3 games, and 4 games, and 2 bye weeks in between.
Yep.
So this, like, even though it's less games, I feel like this is the most important slate we're getting into right now. Even though I know it's about how you finish, but like in terms of like talent and ranking, we get past these 2 teams or these 3 teams, these 3 games going into the next bye week. I'm feeling confident about being in Atlanta in December and then again in January. When it comes to ranking and seeding, it's different. I don't mind being. We'll get into that later, but I'm gonna start off with priorities now. Like, I hope to be in Atlanta in December.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking around the SEC as a whole, obviously Alabama beating Georgia. Is there anybody that outside of Bama that like you've been really impressed by? I've
been saying Ole Miss and Georgia are frauds. I've been saying that. I think Tennessee for sure. Tennessee and Kentucky. And Kentucky is like, they are like, what's the term? Like King Slayers, God Slayers, whatever it may be. But like, came close to beating Georgia, beat Ole Miss. It's like, who's next on their list? So I'm not sleeping on them. I was initially, but not anymore. Especially how we kind of started this past week. But sure. Other than that, it's just Tennessee and Kentucky. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and add Oklahoma and A&M, because they both dropped 5-star quarterbacks to start these dual threat freshmen that are lighting it up. So I just can't. Yeah, you can't sleep on anybody in the SEC. I'd be foolish to do that right now, especially with the changes going on and how they're performing.
No, I agree. It's still too early to tell, man. Missouri's got a pretty easy schedule. They have a tough one with A&M this weekend, but outside of that, it's very manageable. A&M has a pretty dang easy schedule, to be honest with you. Their 4 toughest opponents at home. Obviously, they lost Notre Dame, but they get LSU, Texas, Missouri at home. Let me ask you this about Tennessee. Emali Ava or Arch Manning? Who looks better so far?
I'm giving Arch, and I haven't watched too much of and I can't pronounce the last name.
Nico.
Nico?
Yeah, Nico. It's Nico.
Yeah. I haven't watched too much of Nico, but it's bias. Like I know Arch, I know Texas. I'm a Texas fan. I'm going Arch all day, and I'm sure Nico's a great quarterback, but I'm not going to say another quarterback's name that isn't mine.
I know, I love it, man. Nico's a great player. But Arch is different. Like there's nothing that I'm seeing that Nico can do that Arch can't do. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Arch throws one of the better deep balls in college football already. I'm gonna roll with Arch. And so I think I put Arch in my top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC already. Obviously had Quinn up there as well. I just looking around the conference, man, the quarterback play for Texas, I think, can take us a long ways. Obviously a good O-line, a good quarterback, and a great play caller. Obviously, you got to play a little defense in this conference, but that can get you a long ways. And when you look around the landscape, there's a couple teams with O-line issues, a couple teams with quarterback issues. But yeah, I do like what Oklahoma and A&M are doing, kind of letting Marcel Reed and Michael Hawkins run it, especially when you're Oklahoma. Like, you had to do something to inject some kind of life into that offense. And so when you look at OU, you look at the defense is pretty dang experienced. I think they're really good, to be honest. I said every week on this channel that Oklahoma's best offense is their defense. They set them up for scores all the time, and then they won the game last week with a pick 6. What are your initial thoughts on Oklahoma and the Red River? You played in this game. You know that you can take nothing for granted. You got to show up. Anything goes, all that. So what are your thoughts there, bub?
I'm going to say Texas walks away with the golden hat. My only worry is my main worry for defense is Danny Stutzman. He's a baller, and he's also. I just hope we keep our emotions in check, especially DJ, because DJ likes to go, and that could be a good thing and a bad thing. And then also, I don't think we faced a true dual threat quarterback until Mississippi State, and we saw what that guy can do. And I'm a little worried about that, but other than that, it's just Danny Stutzman, and then whoever Oklahoma's quarterback is, the freshman.
Yeah, he's looked good so far. Crazy that they won that game. I mean, they kind of just had 2 big plays on offense and a pick 6, and that's all it took to beat Auburn, who's also struggling offensively. But I'm with you, man. It seems difficult to think of a way for Oklahoma to win this game, but at the same time, you got to respect the rivalry. And then Michael Hawkins is capable of making some big plays. If we turn the ball over 3 times and don't score from inside the 2-yard line, 1-yard line on 4 downs again, there's a quick avenue to defeat right there. So I think even Oklahoma fans they expect a Texas win. They know some crazy things like last year might have to go down. But Georgia, is that a team that you're like, okay, 50-50, we win this game, but we'll get out. We'll take a win, a close loss. It doesn't hurt us or anything. But you just called Georgia frauds a little bit ago. So you like our chances going in there at home against Georgia?
I do. And like you look at the common denominator when Georgia played Kentucky and when they played Alabama, they're not really good when it comes to playing away teams with large crowds. And I think Texas has 20,000, 20 or 30,000 more seats than Kentucky does. So when DKR gets loud, when Carson Beck can't hear, he had 4 turnovers last week. I'm just not sold on Georgia, and I think just not the nerves, but like the anticipation of that game, we're going to show out. And I know people say people always assume that when one team has a subpar performance, it's because they're looking forward or they're already looking ahead to the future games. I wouldn't be surprised if Sark has some type of concept of a plan. He has some type of concept for Georgia, kind of I can just see him right now in his freaking office squatting, just writing down plays.
Think about how familiar he is with Kirby Smart, and that there's going to be a lot of little wrinkles in there, a la like 2022 when Saban came to town and he's running all types of window dressing stuff, and we're lining up in formations that I used to see in 2A East Texas high school football. I was like, all right, we're doing whatever we got to do to give ourselves a chance. And so, obviously I think that this game's going to be very personal. Obviously it always is at the Red River, but the way that the last year's game went down, and then the 2021 game, I fully expect Sark to be all the way in his bag against a really good Oklahoma defense. I mean, like this one has got you can't drop this one and go 1-3 to Oklahoma if you're Steve Sarkisian, considering one game you had a 28-7 lead, and then the other loss, you had the better team. I think that was pretty clear. But if Texas does drop that game somehow, like, do you start to have any worries about Coach Sark in big games or anything of that nature? Or are you just going to chalk it up to a weird day in the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's widely known, like, rivalry games are the most unpredictable. So, like, there shouldn't be any question about Sark in big games and his performance, especially after what happened with Michigan going into the Big House and what happened last year going into Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I would say my biggest concern is the running backs, and I tweeted about this. The next 1-2 punch is Trey and Jarrett Gibson, yeah. And respect to Jaden Blue's an explosive player, but, like, I feel like being away from football, and I rarely know. I know a handful of guys on the team that I played with, like Jake, and I recruited. Me and Denzel helped recruit Kevin and Kelvin and Cam Williams and DJ. So, like, there's a handful of guys I know, but, like, I don't. So at this point, I just feel like I just care about winning. I don't know any of the running backs. I just know what I see. And, like, okay, this guy fumbles a lot. I'd rather Trey Wisner's killing it. Jarrett Gibson's killing it. That's the next Roshan and Bijan. 1-2 punch until CJ Baxter gets healthy, turn into a 3-headed monster, and let's freaking roll. But I'm sure Jaden Blue's going to fix it. But at this point in time, with these two big games coming up, with SEC hopes on the line, like, I don't want to risk anything. And yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's just kind of after I was like, even though we won the game, I was like, that's the one thing I couldn't get out of my mind is like fumble. Yeah. And even I went to New Orleans, the Sugar Bowl. I was like so freaking pissed when like CJ fumbled and then Jaden fumbled. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. It's just like
we beat ourselves in both of our losses last year.
Yeah,
you turn obviously I'm taking a little bit of credit away from Michael Penix there, which I probably shouldn't do because he dotted us up for 4 hours. Call it how it is.
It was nice.
We win that game without the fumbles. I mean, that's pure. That's just how it is. We beat Oklahoma without the turnovers, and so I know that's part of football. And so yeah, everybody, every fan, every coach, player out there, you're like, yeah, well, obviously we don't turn the ball over, our chances get better.
Yeah,
it seemed that was the only thing that handicapped Texas, and we still lost one game by 4, one game by 6. So yeah, well, point is, I'm with you. You can't have those type of turnovers in a game like Oklahoma or Georgia. You can't let Oklahoma and a young quarterback build any type of momentum early in the game. You don't want to instill belief in them because you know how Red River can be, and once their side wakes up and stays awake, things can get crazy, and that's what happened last year. Turnover on the first play, and a game that I thought we'd win pretty comfortably, it turned into like, okay, well, now we know it's probably going to be a war, and it's the greatest rivalry in college football, in my opinion. And so, like, I do love that, but I just want to get out on the winning side real quick before we keep going. 2018, did you get to put on the golden hat?
Yeah, in the locker room. I'm not much for photo ops on the field and stuff like that. So go in the locker room, get changed. I'll take all the pictures I want to, but all the skill guys and receivers want to grab it and jump into the crowd and like pose and like, and I'm not one for that. I don't think any offensive lineman is, but yeah, I took all the photos I wanted to in 2018. Awesome. It was fun.
Definitely cool, man. Awesome that you got to experience that. I wish you got to experience it a couple times more than you did, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was only once. Yeah.
One more time than I ever will, though. So good for you.
You're good, man.
But so yeah, you talk about Texas making it to Atlanta. My preseason prediction was Alabama over Texas. Alabama was kind of backing me up right now. I had Milroe winning the Heisman. Didn't want to be on my own prediction show and be, like you say, be real biased talking about Texas and the Horns. I didn't want people clipping my stuff and blasting it all over SEC Twitter. So I was a little hesitant going in. But I will say I do love our chances. Ole Miss, looks like they could lose multiple games. They got a tough game with South Carolina this week. I know that I'm not sure if Lenora Sellers is playing, but they lose at home to Kentucky, and they get a South Carolina team who's coming off a bye week, and their last game was against LSU that they kind of feel they got robbed in. I don't know. It depends on who you ask in SEC world. But, yeah, I think that the SEC, you can't rule anybody out. But at the same time, man, if Texas gets by 2-0, Oklahoma, Georgia, you got to really love their chances of getting there. Obviously, you probably definitely lock them in to the college football playoffs. Even a win over Oklahoma might do that for you. But do you think is it national title or bust in your mind? I know you're not going to say like your official prediction, but is that kind of the way you're thinking? You're thinking that they're that good?
I wouldn't say or bust. I mean, I actually, I think our hopes are pretty. Like I have high hopes, and I think we can make it there. I think Alabama's secondary is pretty sus,
Yep.
especially what happened last week. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's tough. It's tough to say because they're capable of beating anybody, but once you're into the playoff and we're a long ways out, we don't know what injury situations will look like for everybody. Some teams regress, some teams get hot, and it's just about being hot in that right. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, like I would sit here and tell you, like, yeah, it's national title or bust, except for the fact that we lost to that Washington team, because I honestly thought we were going to kind of curb stomp them a little bit, run the ball right through them, and instead they had a field day with us. But I feel good about it. I'm like, if we can at least get there and show that we're still on the climb, if we get to the semifinals again, I'm gonna expect us to win a first round game, or unless we get that bye. 2 games before that, at least the semis, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Would you rather? I don't know. I mean, again, seeding is ranking is different than seeding. So like, if we do win the if we do win the game in Atlanta, we'll be we have the first week bye. If we do lose, I think the highest we be is 5, and we have to play another extra game. But I don't know. If we play that extra game, we might play the Group of 5 champion, which is like not bad,
Yeah.
I'm not, if it's that extra game and it's like a Boise State, like I'm not really upset. It's a home game too, so
I don't know, dude. Ashton Genty looks crazy right now. Have you watched any?
I put little stock in, and this is no offense to Group of 5 teams, but like he's not doing that in the SEC. He's not going to do that in the Big Ten. So I don't know. I'm just leaving it at that, man. He's a great running back.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Competition level is different. So
yeah, no doubt. He definitely off to a hot start. Had to throw that out there. Who knows if they even get there, because there's several teams I think can hang with Boise, and then there's some other conference small G5 schools I think can get in. But yeah, I agree. If you get that 5 spot, you get a G5 opponent.
Yeah,
it's kind of like could be a lot worse out there.
Oh man,
dang it.
Yeah, dang it.
Hate to see it. I'm talking noise. I always run with Air Force just because on College Football 25, just because I like to run the option. My little dude loves watching it. He's like, what play was that? Like, you threw it to that guy and you handed it to that guy, and it's just like, that's old school football, man. You'll never understand this. You'll never understand it. But so definitely, I like the Horns' chances. Tope likes the Horns' chances. I definitely, it's a fun time to be a Longhorn man. So once again, thank you for sticking with the program, staying a big member of Twitter, and having your opinions on there, because obviously I've followed you for a long time now. But then to see you post players, sharing your thoughts and opinions, and it's not always just like the rainbows and sunshine that people want to hear. You know what I mean? You call it how it is, and so big time respect for that. So tell everyone what's your Twitter? It's iSpace.
iSpace. So letter I, SPACE, FACE. Yeah, I just kind of post. I usually just post my opinions on football every season. And if you haven't followed me there, my only opinions for this week or going into the bye were Trey Wisner's a starter. Colton Vossick should have more playing time, especially with Ethan Burke. And just thank God for bye weeks. And then Coach Flood will clean up the flags and stuff like that. So other than that,
man, those false start penalties, we got to tidy those up quick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That was something I said on the pregame show going into it. That's what I was looking for in the Mississippi State game. I was like, turnover-free football, clean up the false start penalties, and we got far from either of those.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on Quinn's Heisman campaign. It's been 2.5 games. I'm like, it's kind of up in the air now. It's probably not going to happen. So,
the whole around the program, Sark's preaching, we not me. And
True.
it seems like, there's a much bigger goal out there. Obviously there is, but that's where everybody's eyes are on. And so it's tough to go one game at a time, man, because you know what the team is capable of, but at the same time, that's all you can do. You got to worry about Oklahoma, Georgia. Obviously, you can't take your eyes and look too far past OU because they'll provide a good test. But let me ask you this, man. Quinn is the ceiling, right, for this team? Or do you think there's a chance that Arch ends up being the ceiling?
It's Quinn, and it's hands down. You go with the experienced guy, the guy who's already been to the playoffs, the guy who's already won the Big 12 championship. Experience is key, and that's how we're winning games right now. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
He's got that RPO system kind of mastered there, and he's really crafty with it, quick, a lot of different release angles. It kind of feels, like they've been setting up some of the deep shots with Quinn, because Arch gets in there and they're letting it fly. Quinn gets in there, it's all short, intermediate. I know that he's been a little bit of a maligned deep ball passer, over the last couple of seasons, but he has improved, especially last year. And so, like you said earlier, we haven't seen our biggest test yet, nowhere close to it. I think Sark has been coy somewhat at times. You get in there and you whip Michigan around in the first half. You really don't have to show anything in your bag in that second half schematically.
Sure.
And so Oklahoma and a great defensive mind in Brent Venables, and then obviously Kirby Smart. I'm sure that he's been saving a lot of ammo for those two guys. So I'm excited to see what he has with Quinn. I'm sure hoping Quinn plays for Oklahoma. I know that Chip Brown reported that yesterday, but I didn't really see anybody else talk much about it. Have you heard anything?
Not much, no.
No, okay, same here, man. But well, Tope, I really appreciate you checking in with us, man. It was great to have you on the channel for the first time. Guys, if you're watching on Twitter, do me a favor, click on my profile, hop in that bio, and follow the link to the YouTube channel. Show Tope some love here on the video. Throw a lot of likes down, maybe some comments for our guy. He did a great job. Appreciate all his transparency with his recruitment, with the strong heir to the Herman era to the Sark era in Texas football. It's fun to hear his side of it, a guy who's been there and seen all the insides and outs. And maybe the best part was the BB Wars, because I had no idea the BB gun wars were going on. And that's terrific way, because you enrolled, in June of 2016, right? You committed June 2015. Yeah, and then that's probably one of your first memories on campus. That's pretty great. And so, like this video for Tope, man. Show some love. Subscribe to the channel. Got a lot of fun guests coming on. Got a player's parent coming on tomorrow. Won't ruin the surprise, but doing a lot of things, try to keep you guys lighthearted about the season, but also at the same time talking some ball with some guys that know a lot about it. And so appreciate all the support, all the love. Thank you, Nash, for being in the comments and have some fun with us. Tope, sign us out, man. We'll let you out of here.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Ghost, you're a real one, man. Again, I'm here all season. Whenever you need me, whenever you want me to hop on, I'm always here for you, dog.
I appreciate it, man.